William Kristol is the founder and editor of the Weekly Standard, as well as a former professor of political philosophy at the University of Pennsylvania and Harvard. Dr. Kristol discusses education in America's founding principles and history with James Caesar, professor of politics at the University of Virginia and the chairman of the Jack Miller Center's Academic Advisory Board.
Bill, much evidence has been compiled recently showing that American college students know very little about America's founding principles and American history. Why do you think that this is the case?
I think they're not taught it, unfortunately, either in high school or too often in college, where students come and this is a great country and they have a chance to get a great education, and you'd think that core curricula and relevant departments would at least try to encourage students to read the Declaration of Independence and the Federalist Papers and think hard about the principles of our republic. But so many times, as you know, the courses are in, the development of parties in Congress, 1947 to 1963, and they have no idea about the real fundamental principles.
Bill, what advice would you give to parents who are thinking now about sending their kids to universities, about which university and which courses that they should take?
I think parents really should pay attention to what their kids are taking. They should try to do some research on which professors really teach good courses. You can't judge a course by its title. Two courses can be called Principles of American Politics, and one of them could be a great study of the Declaration and the Federalist and Tocqueville and Lincoln, and the other could be, God knows what. So I think students should be choosy and selective, and parents should really try to find out from whatever sources they can, written material, other parents, people they trust, what professors are worth taking.
A liberal arts education traditionally meant that students would study a broad range of courses in the humanities, social sciences, and history towards this end. You work in Washington, and I'm wondering what you think about how a liberal arts education has helped those who interpret politics and those who act politics to do their job in a better way.
When college students come to Washington, I sometimes speak to groups of students who are there for a summer program or for a term in Washington or whatever. They often ask my advice on what they should study, and most of them are interested in politics. Obviously, that's why they're in Washington. And my advice to them usually is don't study contemporary politics, or don't study only or primarily contemporary politics. The people I respect the most in Washington, the people I respected the most when I served in government, the columnists and commentators who I think shed the most light on American politics, are not people who typically spent their entire college years following every bill going through Congress or every election that was taking place. So they tend to be interested in politics, and there's nothing wrong with having an interest in what's going on, obviously, but these are people who tended to study political philosophy or literature or history or actually sciences, and I think got a good broad education. And I do think that gives you a perspective on what's happening day to day and week to week and month to month and year to year.
Bill, you're familiar with the Jack Miller Center and its efforts to expand college students' knowledge of America's founders and the founding principles. Could you tell us and share with us for a moment your thoughts about Jack Miller and the Jack Miller Center?
Someone once told me when I was young, and I didn't really believe it, it's a hard thing actually to do good. It's hard to be philanthropic in an effective and intelligent way. It's very easy to make donations and give money, and even give money generously if one is wealthy, to institutions that everyone thinks are good institutions and appropriate, and it's the Philharmonic or it's a hospital, and those are all great things. But to actually figure out how to help educate people is hard. To figure out how to help shape the way students are taught, to help educate grad students and faculty, is really a difficult thing. And I know lots of people who've tried to do it and have kind of retreated from the field, sort of shaking their head that they couldn't make a difference. I really admire Jack Miller for trying to make a difference and for making a difference and for sticking to it, and not just sort of having something that looks good on paper, but really making sure that the thing works in practice and adjusting when he thought things had to be fixed. And I think he's really gotten results.
Bill, thank you very much for spending the time sharing your thoughts with us today.
My pleasure.
This has been a Jack Miller Center digital media presentation. For more information, visit thejackmillercenter.org.